Today's lesson is about squares and cubes in algebra. We need to do a little revision first, so let's watch the following. Right, grade 8s, we need to do a little bit of revision first. So remember from your work with integers, this is what we're going to revise. So any number to the power of 1. So we've been talking about a. If I have an a, it's a to the power of 1. So any number, so I can have 42a cubed y to the power of 1, and that would be 42a cubed y. The next one, any number to the power of 0. So I could have 43,210 divided by 123x cubed y squared. If that is all to the power of 0, my answer to that is 1. Remember, a positive number, so a positive number to any power will be positive. Right, let's have a look here, but it's not the same with negative numbers. So if I have a negative number, negative 3, to an even power, 2, so as long as my powers are even, my result is going to be a positive. However, if I have a negative number to an odd power, 3, 6, 9, 1, 5, my result is going to be a negative, because if I'm raising it to the power 3, it means I'm going to have negative 4 multiplied by negative 4 multiplied by negative 4. These two negatives, a negative times a negative, will give me a positive, and then a positive multiplied by a negative will give me a negative result. Another way to look at it, I have an odd number of negatives, so as soon as my negatives are odd, my result is negative. However, we now need to look at the squares, and you have to learn the square numbers from 1 squared to 13 squared. I have rewritten them for you. Please make sure you learn them. It will make your life so much easier. By the same token, you need to learn your cubic numbers from 1 cubed to 7 cubed. Right, laws of exponents, and we did this in great detail when we were doing integers, so let's just write them down. When raising a power to a further power, write down the base and multiply the exponent. So if I had 3 to the power 4, we write down the base, which is 3, and I'm going to say 1 times 4 is 4. It's almost like doing distribution from the top. When raising a product to a power, write down each factor and multiply the exponent of each factor by the exponent. Right, this is what I mean. So if I have 3a to the 4b and I'm raising it, so this is a product because I've got 3 times a times b. Sorry, a to the power of 4. Okay, so, and if this was raised to the power 3, this is what happens. So this is going to be multiplied by each of the exponents. So the exponent of 3 is 1. So I'm going to say 3 to the power of 1 times 3. I'm then going to write down a to the 4. When raising a power to a further power, write down the base and multiply the exponents. B, no exponent, so it's b to the 1. And now I'm going to multiply that by 3. So the answer to that, this step you do in your head. You don't have to write it down. So I write down my base, and I'm going to say 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. Multiplied by a, 4 times 3 is 12. Write down my b, and I'm going to say 1 times 3 is 3. Now remember, that is why I said you need to go and learn these. Because now I've got to change my numbers. So anything cubed or squared in that set of numbers, you have to multiply out. So 3 cubed means 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3. 3 3s are 9, 3s are 27, and that is a to the 12 b cubed. Right, let's look at the next one. Any number to the power of naught is always 1. That's what we showed you. A negative raised to an even power is always positive. So, for example, here I could have negative 1 raised to 123. Well, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, skip a few, 123 ones multiplied together, you are still going to get 1, but because that is an odd number, it's going to be negative 1. If I have, that's for your negative. If I have negative 1 to an even number, 2 or 220, and so on, this is an even number. So I'm going to say 1 times 1 is 1. It is even, so that result is positive 1. These you have to go and learn. You will see it is in your book, and that is on page 84. So these are all on page 84 for you to review. Let's go and have a look at the worked examples. Right. Remember, circle terms. After I've circled terms, I have a look and see if I have more than one term or if I only have one term. So if I have one term, it means we are multiplying and or dividing. The laws of exponents we've dealt with up to now. So the operation, so when I was multiplying powers with the same base, what did I do with the exponents? I added. When I was dividing powers with the same base, what did I have to do with the exponents? Well, I had to subtract them. Now this is new today. So now I'm raising a power to a further power. So what do? I write down the base and I multiply the exponents. Right, so let's have a look. This is clearly raising a power to a further power. So what do? The laws of exponents say that when I'm raising a power to a further power, I write down the base and I multiply the exponents. 3 times 2 is 6. So that simplified, removing the brackets, is p to the 6. You have these little notes in your book to help you. Let's look at the next example. Right, the next example, you can see I have a whole lot of factors here. I've got negative 2 multiplied by c to the 4, and that rule was when I raise a product to a further power, I have to do my signs, numbers, letters, and the laws of exponents. So the first thing I look at is a negative to an odd power. So I know a negative to an odd power is negative. So now I've done the signs. Now I'm going to do the numbers. So I have 2 to the power of 1 multiplied by 3. So it's going to be 2, 1 times 3, okay, which is negative 2 cubed. Then I look at my c. I'm raising a power to a further power, so I'm going to multiply 4 by 3. So over here, I will get c. 4 times 3 is 12. This is the only thing you can simplify further. So that would be negative 2 cubed. You put 3 fingers in the air and say 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. C to the 12. And that is the answer to that question. Right, now we go one step further. Okay, over here, remember, king of algebra, look for my pluses and minuses and see how many terms we have. Well, this one in the front here just shows us that that term is a negative 3. So that is one term. This negative is in the bracket. So in actual fact, I only have one term. But I can simplify that term. So now I apply the laws of BEDMAS. Okay, now you see why we've changed BODMAS to BEDMAS. So the first thing we have to look at is the bracket. So if I look at this bracket, I look inside, I've got 4b to the 5, 2b to the 5. Those are like terms because your b to the 5 is identical in both of them. So I can simplify that first. Negative 3, I'm going to write down the family name, which is b to the 5, and now I'm going to say 4 minus 2 is 2. And then I'm going to look outside the bracket. So BEDMAS, we start inside the bracket, then we are going to go outside the bracket. So we've done the inside of the bracket. Now we're going to do the exponent on the bracket. So let's see how we do that. So everything we're not working with, we just simply write down. So negative 3, when I raise a product to a further power, I use laws of integers. So the first thing, this is positive, so my answer will be positive, but I don't have to write it down. Now, I put 3 fingers in the air because I'm going to go 2 to the power 1 times 3. Not 2 times 3. You're putting 3 fingers in the air and you're going to say 2 times 2 times 2. Multiplied by b, now I have to say 5 times 3. Okay, remember this step you don't have to do. This is just to help us explain our thinking. Right, so this will be negative 3, 2, 1 times 3 is 3, b, 5 times 3 is 15. And if you go back and you look at your squares, you have to know squares and cubes. You have to know 2 to the power of 3, which you are going to put 3 fingers in the air and you're going to say 2 times 2 times 2. Negative 3, I'm still not working with it. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. B to the 15. Right, I am still multiplying. So now, remember when I multiply, so my operation is multiply, I write down the base and add exponents. But in this case, I'm going to do signs, numbers, letters. Right, so I'm going to say minus 3 times positive 8. So 8 threes are a negative times a positive is negative. 3 times 8 is 24, and I have b to the 15. That is your final answer. Right, I now need you to go and do your test, your understanding.